Hello there. So today I'm going to discuss some of the essays and task one or reports that you've written. And let's quickly get started by sharing my screen. So we're starting with the general training task. All right. First of all, that I like to make sure that if you are taking the academic test, then you're not going to be required to write a letter. However, you've written. Therefore, I'm going to just have a look at it. So the word order here is well, the number of words here is 191, which is okay because you're required to write at least 150, and 190 is not that let's say uh, few less than the required word amount. So now you've started with dear Madam Megan, right? So in terms of the woman name, we generally use Miss, right? Miss and Mrs. as well as Ms, right? So we use Miss for single ladies and for Mrs for married ladies. And in terms of Ms, this is used for both women, which means that both married women and single woman can be referred as Ms. Therefore, generally, most in English speaking, in most of these countries, people refer to the women with the last one here, Miss, okay, rather than Miss, Mrs. or Madam. So in case that we don't know whom we are writing, then we can say dear Sir or Madam, okay, because we don't know whether we're writing to the man or the woman. In that case, we can say dear Sir or Madam. I always choose this shop for buying furniture for my home. So this is your purpose. Therefore, instead of for buying, instead of journal, we're required to use here uh, infinitive, which is to buy. Okay. Now, when we talk about the words, all right, or any other vocabulary, try to use more academic ones. Instead of buy, for example, we can say here purchase, acquire, obtain, attain, and so forth. Okay, obtain. Let's really obtain. Furniture for my home and office. I'm fond of especially kitchen equipment in the shop, but last time I got some difficulties. So, and, but, so, and because. We never start the sentences with these words because they are sentence connectors. They're used within the sentence, not between the sentences, right? Indeed, it can be used, but at least for academic purposes, we never use but and so and because in the beginning of the sentences. Therefore, instead of but, we will use here however, or we can say yet, or although, even though, or nevertheless. Last time I got some difficulties, you get the point. I bought the microwave yesterday when I wanted to switch on it. So if we use it, we use it between the verb and the preposition. It is a phrasal verb. Okay, switch it on. We never say switch on it, switch off it. Switch it on, switch it off. But if we say, for example, switch the microwave on or switch on the microwave, so it's interchangeable. There's no problem with it. But if we use the pronoun like it or them, in that case, it has to be between the verb and the preposition. I saw no react. React is a verb, so you would probably use here noun. I saw no reaction. And instead of this, I would say that it failed to operate. It failed to operate, or there was a dysfunctioning issue. There was a dysfunctioning issue. Then dysfunction. So, or it dysfunctioned, okay? So you can use any of them. So since it's the gerund, probably that's why it says it's incorrect, but you can use in the gerund as well. Or let's say it dysfunctioned. It dysfunctioned. And try it again and again. It seems like, yeah, because of this. maybe there was a problem. So I tried again and again. Yeah, again and again can be used as well as over and over. Okay, so both of them are correct. Finally, after finally, firstly, furthermore, we generally put comma. This is called the punctuation issue. So be aware of the punctuation as well. Finally, I discover, so probably you're talking about the thing that happened, which is about the past. So finally I discovered what the problem was, right? What the problem was. So if we have two statements within one sentence, for example, I don't know what your name is, not I don't know what's your name. I don't know what your name is. The second part of the sentence becomes not like the question, but like the normal sentence structure with subject plus verb. The electrical cable of equipment was damaged. I estimate shop's worker neglect. Estimated. Okay, it's your current opinion. I estimate that shop's worker neglected when they delivered when they delivered it to the address. The address, because we know which address we're talking about. I think that is going to solve the issue, I think. When they deliver it to the address, again, we don't start the sentence with and, but, so, and because. Instead of because here, we could say due to the fact that microwave preserved in the box. So we have to use it again if we don't have any sentence here. Okay, if it is only one sentence, we can combine two of these sentences with because, or if we start due to the fact in the beginning of the sentence, then we need to add the other consequential issue of this situation. Okay, due to the fact the microwave preserved in the box till to find problem. Let's say until the problem is detected or was detected. We're talking about the past activity. Difficult to figure out what the core of the issue was. Okay. After detecting problem, again, comma, I pay heed to the punctuation. A phone shop, which shop? We're talking about the definite shop or the exact shop. Then I found the shop, but it was too late. It was too late. So here there are two options. Either we can say although it was too late, I found the shop although it was too late, or we can put full stop here and then we can write unfortunately it was too late because it's another information. So probably you like to put here a full stop. Let's write here although or even though shop had already been closed. Which shop? Again, the shop, because we know which shop you're talking about. However, for morning. This morning I called. This morning or that morning? We're talking about the past that we're talking about. Okay, that morning I called the shop and shop assistance. What do you mean by shop assistance? Probably the front desk. Front desk. Front desk. Let's say, or consultants, or let's say the people who are in charge of the shop, the front desk of the shop. Let's delete this one. Said that instead of say this is too primitive vocabulary, we can say stated or indicated or outlined or maybe emphasized, highlighted that it would be better if I told them. Okay, this is conditional. The second condition. It will be better if I told you this negative issue. So told you, whom are you talking about? It's a little bit vague. Indicated that it will be better if I told them. Instead of told here, I would say reported or informed. Informed them. Let them know this. Okay. So if we use let them know, in that case, them is going to be omitted here. But if we can use reported them, this inform them about this issue. Okay, we can say about as well as regarding or concerning this issue. This negative. I wish you could. I wish you could. So we say you could rather than can in terms of I wish, because it's an imaginary situation. It's not the real situation. I wish you could help me to solve this problem or the problem. You can change it with a new one, or refund my cash. Fund the payment. It's possible. So since this letter is written to the person who is not very close to you, then instead of it's, we can use the full form. Okay, it is. It's possible that shop mends it for me if shop has repair. As shop has repair service. Repair service. I consider repairing it. Consider repairing it will take much time. I prefer having a new one because it is essential equipment in the kitchen. In kitchen, generally, I will be glad if you could respond me. If you could respond me, let's say as soon as possible. Not as soon as possible, because it's let's say for more friendly conversational expression. Instead, I would say at your earliest convenience. It has the same meaning, as soon as possible. However, it doesn't mean that you need to do it right now. And how about the ending? Generally, we end up our report with, why is it 200 words? Did we write so many words? In the beginning, it was not 280. All right. At the end, we can say yours sincerely, or sincerely yours. Okay, sincerely yours, and then your name. Okay. Now let's choose the other document. So here you've written 222 words, which means that it is way too much. And now so the chart below shows where's the chart. Below means downside here. Okay, but there's no any chart that I can see of. So in the prompt that you read, the chart below shows something, but we never use the below because there's no chart in our under our report. Therefore, it's additional and it's going to be omitted by the examiner. Shows. Instead of show, I told you that try to use more academic vocabulary. For example, we can say reveals, or let's say illustrates, or displays, and so forth. It displays the total number of minutes of telephone calls in the UK. Calls were separated were divided or classified, organized under 3 categories. Sections are local calls, national. So instead of sections, I would say by putting comma, namely, which means, for example, it means to exemplify the names of these categories. They are local calls, national and international calls, and mobile calls. The period includes from So you can write in different sentences like this, or you can combine them, and you need to find out that whether you have both simple, complex, and compound sentences in each one of your tasks. The period includes from 1995 to 2002, or you can say includes 7 years, 7 years, thus from 1995 to 2002. So this additional, you can still say it like this, or you can add includes 7 year period or 7 years thus, and then indicate the explanation. In the beginning of period, here we're required to put comma. Local calls were at the top with 70 billion minutes. Here we talk about more than one thing with plural nouns, right? Minutes. National and international calls following it with followed it with about 38 billion minutes. Or we can make it let's say more complex by saying followed by national and international calls with about 38 billion minutes. All right, the same. And we say the number of, the amount of, the, let's say, extent of. All right, the number of mobile calls is minimum in 1995. Instead of is, I would say here to use was, because if we report the information in the current situation, then that's okay, no problem. However, here the IT designers would also like to see that whether or not you can identify the tense, right? Local calls had much more increase than other calls. So within this period, okay, or when you can admit in 1995 when local calls had much more. So these are too many simple sentences. I would advise you to change it to complex and compound sentences. It climbed to 8 billion minutes in the next year. Mobile calls still couldn't boom well. So could not boom, let's say, adequately. Well is a very simple vocabulary again. Therefore, you should avoid using simple vocabulary. 1997, again, comma, all types of calls. So the past form of grow is grew in the same speed. In 1999, again, comma, is missing here. And when we talk about the words in the middle of the sentence, and unless they are specific nouns, then we do not generally capitalize the words. Okay, it should be with a smaller. Local calls hit a peak of 90 billion minutes. Bar charts illustrates visible climb in the number of mobile calls. The total amount of mobile calls reached to, okay, this is the destination, 10 billion minutes. In 2000, or in the millennia, local calls dropped. So you can also use some relevant adjective here, that whether it was the rapid drop or slow drop, medium drop, all right? Just use the adverb or adjective depending on the whether you decide to use here verbs or nouns. This illustrates the situation that it dropped rapidly or significantly or exponentially, or maybe it was a slight drop or fall. Okay, you can draw the picture in the mind of the examiner by using the adjectives and adverbs. The number of local calls was below 90 billion minutes at the time. In 2001, mobile calls soared. The amount of national and instead of the amount of, I would say here, the number of calls was 60 million minutes. At the end of the period, the amount of mobile calls, again, the number of would be more suitable in this context. Mobile calls reached to a peak of 45 billion minutes. During the period, during the period, comma, the growth is observed, was observed about in mobiles and international calls, mobiles and international and national calls. A decrease was seen in the number of local calls after 1990, but in every year, local calls, not a capital letter, local calls occupied the first place, and we would use here overall statement. Okay, overall, during the, let's say, indicated period, the growth was observed in mobile and other industries and so forth. Okay, let's go on to the other one. So we have here general training again. Now I have to upload. Okay. So finally, dear Anna, finally, I have found my dream house. I'm busy with replacing furniture since last week. So if we say since last week, it would be better to use I have been busy with replacing furniture since last week. It makes me worry, but it feels so cheerful. I'm certain things. So probably you're writing to your friend or to your neighbor, which means that there's a closer connection. In that case, there's no problem with the use of contraction. However, if we write an academic essay or an academic report, in that case, contraction should be avoided. So I'm so enthusiastic for new adventures in new home. It's incredible that I could come across the house, which is suitable for all my criteria. Okay, criterion is the singular form of criteria. You are aware in my exome. You are aware. You are aware of. You're familiar with. Be familiar with. It means that you have a more, let's say, familiarity with this house. Yeah. With my exome, okay, without in. It situates suburbs. It is situated in the suburbs. Due to distance issue, I was always late for work. There is construction next to the building. There is a construction next to the building because of tumult and dust. And because of tumult and dust, I couldn't open windows. Concentrating on something was impossible while I was working from home. My new flat situates, let's say, is situated or is located in the middle of city. So if you want to say the downtown or city center, you can say so. Otherwise, it's going to be just understood in the center of the city, okay? Or in the middle of the city, according to the map. And it's surrounded by trees. I have fresh weather instead of dust every day. Its capacity consists of 3 rooms, and you can see the whole city. You can see the whole city from my dining room because my flat is on the 18th floor. Landscape is much beautiful, especially in the evening. So we say in the evening, in the morning, in the afternoon, or we say at night, right? So we don't say at the evening. I'm planning to give a little home party to blast the bash. This is more slang version of saying so. I plan to give a little home party to my close friends. I want to organize an event on next Saturday. I would be glad if you came. With best wishes. Yeah. You can also include your name depending on the situation. Okay. last one in the past one document. So this is about the maps. Sorry for the inconvenience in the sound and what's going on over there. So the two maps below, you have 169 words. It would be better to write it with more than 170 or 180 words. So the two maps below demonstrates, we're talking about two maps. It demonstrates the island condition before and after construction, the source section. Island, so we're talking about the specific island, so therefore we need to use here. The island has elongated shape, which lies from east to west. Beach zone locates. So we say is located, okay, or is situated on the west shore of the island. The depth of south and southeast shore of island is 100 meters. So we say meter, and if it is more than one, then we have to add plural suffix and east shore. But what do you mean by the depth? Probably you would like to say the length, or we can say here distance. The distance between south and southeast shore of the island is 100 meters. According to the map above, where's the map? We can't see it, therefore we don't say according to the map. So just say according to the map or based on the map. You can also say based on the map, right? Or on the grounds of data can be located in the map. Non-building, you mean no building is seen. No building is seen on the ground before the construction. Island, which island? The island just consisted of palm trees. Subsequent map displays improvements on the island. Accommodations were built for tourists who want to spend. Instead of want, we can also say you're, right? Or be willing to. In this case, are willing to. Or are passionate about, are keen on, and so forth. You get the point. So are willing to spend a few days here. Recommendations were constructed on the two parts of the territory, west and middle, the middle of island, west and the center. In the west and center of the island. So by the way, center is spelled like C-E-N-T-E-R in American English, and in British English we say C-E-N-T-R-E. The last two letters are reversing in this word in British English. East side of the terrain stayed empty. Instead of stay, we can also say remained empty. Quarter of cottages, the quarter of cottages was provided with a footpath. We say with a footpath. Reception settles in the middle of accommodation facilities. Restaurant locates on the north side of the restaurant. There is a vehicle track between the restaurant, now we know which restaurant we're talking, and the reception building. Vehicle track lies from reception to pier, where it was established on the south coast. So C-O-A-S-T, okay? Instead of shore, we can also use coast of the island. Due to depth here is appropriate for yachting. due to the fact that the depth here, so it has to be the combined sentence here, the fact that the depth here is appropriate for yacht. And little ships, this is small ships, swim south side of ground. Small ships swim in the south side of the ground. Okay, these were for task one. See you on the next essay analysis, which is going to be about the just essays.